Coming up on today's REAL-Eyez Destiny radio show.
Through your journey, that there is something called passion that goes along with the success of whatever it is that you're doing. And I believe that God, from the beginning, has painted this picture of our life. And what we're doing is just kind of stepping onto the canvas of what He's already painted. And then there's a journey.
Closer to my dreams.
She's the author of the highly sought-after GOALIE coaching system, who is passionate about helping seasoned entrepreneurs become unstuck in their thinking, abilities, and revenue. She's a coach, author, and speaker who has sharpened her ability to stretch the vision, mission, and goals of those strong enough to withstand the journey of entrepreneurship. As the founder and visionary of Collette, Portis & Co., Collette Portis is a business coach with 20-plus years of experience helping clients think big, strategize for success, and increase revenue. Colette's mission is to change the lives of whole families because winning is the only option. This is the REAL-Eyez Destiny radio show.
Hello and welcome to REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio with Collette Portis. Today we have one of the sweetest souls you will ever meet on the show. Totally excited about hearing about her journey. She is a highly sought-after social media strategist and trainer, the president and CEO of Faye Hill Associates. She also develops Fortune 500 companies. Please help me welcome Miss Faye Hill to the show. How are you today, Faye?
I am doing well, Collette. How are you? So good here with me today.
So I'm so excited to have you on the show, and I know how amazing you are, but my audience isn't as familiar with you as I am. So share with us a little bit about who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
Well, one thing, I am a social media strategist, and I do social media for businesses. So I do the strategy as well as the management of the social media platforms for different businesses across the country. Actually, I have clients all over in California and Seattle and Houston and Dallas. And that takes up a lot of my time. But Faye Hill Associates was actually developed to do training. I have a boutique of different trainers that train in different aspects in the church. And on top of that, I do also for speakers. I was the director of a speakers bureau at one time, so I have speakers that I book as well and represent.
How long have you been in business for yourself?
Since 2002.
Okay. So one of the things I always like to ask is who did you think you were before you started entrepreneurial journey, and what is it that even caused you to decide to strike out on your own?
Collette, as far back as I can remember, I've always been on a journey. Seriously, from 9 years old, my mother passed away from breast cancer, and the journey began with me taking a gift for taking care of others and serving. So one journey led to another, and literally it began when I was very young. My parents were both entrepreneurs. My father remarried when I was 12, and so I grew up kind of expecting that I was going to kind of follow in their footsteps because it's really ample of business ownership. And so I wasn't really sure what direction I was going to go in. But while I was attending college, my mother kind of reached out and said, hey, I'm ready to retire and would love to pass this beauty salon onto you for business. And she had it for like 30 years. So wow. I left college and went to beauty school out of the middle of nowhere, and went to cosmetology school and got my license and moved back to the town that she for people. And I really enjoyed styling hair and was very creative. And she wanted me to have my own business, so she passed that on to me. So that's kind of how it began with the entrepreneur, owning your own business attitude journey. It started there following my mom's footsteps, but little did I know that one journey leads to another journey.
What made you decide that is to go to college, get a degree, get a good job, and stay there for 40 years? And that was the American dream. And that's the way that you live a good life. Well, but you were in college and you decided to leave to go take over your mom's company. What was it that prompted you to make that decision, although it was against everything for the most part that we're told is the right way to go?
Well, I think, from the time I was 12 years old, she was just such a successful business person. And I admired that about her. We, really were brought up, my sisters and I'm the oldest and I have two younger sisters, and we were brought up with just the attitude of, owning your own. Mm-hmm. And even though when I graduated from high school, went straight to college, I was doing that because next step. And I never really at that point thought that I would go into that industry and follow my mom. But when she reached out to me, she said, I've just seen that you have a gift and you're really good at what you do. And I grew up helping her in the salon and, being around that atmosphere. And she said, I think that this would be a really good business for you and it could give you a really good start. And the more she talked about it, I thought, what? I think she's right. So I just did much to think. In the state of Washington, where I'm from, it's not like real quick. You go quite a few hours. Washington and New York have the most hours that you have to put in cosmetology school. So it took a while to get that license and then move back where she was and take over that salon. But it was a great experience. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, so you've got your license, Washington, where your mother's salon is, and you take over. Like, who did you think you were at that point in your journey? Who was Faye in Faye's mind at that point in her journey?
At that point, I didn't know. I was pretty young. I was in my early 20s. And at that time, really, your thought process is more about being successful, being able to get everything you want, that's how I ended up in Texas, because I was very successful. And my sisters both lived in Texas, and I kept flying back and forth to visit. So I was coming here all the time, and I thought, I think I want to move to Dallas. Yeah, true story. So I'm given a business. I'm very successful in the business, and I'm young, and I'm going to move to Dallas. I have no words for the upheaval, especially with my mom. She was like, I handed you this business, and I thought, well, I just really want to move. I don't want to be here anymore. It was kind of a small town, and to top it off, I was the only African-American salon in the city.
Really?
I could open in the morning like at 6, and I'd be there until midnight. I had a couple of other stylists, and there was no place else to go unless you wanted to drive 2 hours to Seattle.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, I wasn't sure. I would have stayed.
Right.
When I look back on it now, I was just being young and just wanting, adventure and wanting to move to Dallas and be in Texas, and didn't want to be there anymore. And that's why I said one journey led to another, to another.
You mentioned success. Tell me what at that moment you defined success as, and is it the same today as you defined it then?
No, it's not the same today. At that point, my success, I based on seeing how successful my parents were. And again, it all kind of evolved down, not so much serving, even though in the capacity of serving at that point for a business as well that served clients. But it was more about financial stability. Mm-hmm. And you can do whatever you want to do. You can be successful. You can have whatever you want to have, and it's all based on the financial stability of your business. And what I have found out and what I have learned throughout the years, because since then I've owned several businesses. So that was like the very beginning, that you discover through your journey that there is something called passion that goes along with the success of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I believe that God, from the beginning, has painted this picture of our life. And what we're doing is just kind of stepping onto the canvas of what he's already painted. And then there's a journey.
Yes.
So each step, you're going from one place to the next place. And when you look back over your life, you can say, wow, what I do understand is this. And I'm going to even say I was born with the gift of serving. And having just the personality that always wanted to make sure everybody was all right. But I was always in the midst of service at some capacity, whatever it was that I was doing, whatever, even if I had a corporate job. In between Washington and when I first came to Dallas, I went to work for in a corporate setting. And before back to owning my own business again. And even in that capacity, it's like immediately, managers and bosses, I would like move very quickly into, a different position because people picked up on my personality. So if you take the gifts that you have, and I'm a huge believer in spiritual gifts. So if you take the gift that you have, that God's given you for utilizing for the kingdom or for churches or for ministry, and you utilize that and connect that with a passion, then you're almost guaranteed to be successful. And the reason I say that is because passion is a part of enjoying getting up in the morning and working. Whether you're going to work for someone else or whether you're working for yourself, if you just can't wait to see what that day is going to hold, and you just can't wait to see what it is I'm going to be able to do today, then you know that the combination of those two things are going to guarantee that you're going to have some form of being successful. And I guess that is what I would say if it was what I know for absolutely sure. What I've come to understand is that each of us have a very specific and unique personal calling on our lives. So, like I said about God painting the picture, he's painted the picture of our journey was placed on your life to discover what you're passionate about early on and use it as a form of service to others.
I love that. I love that. I love that. You are listening to Real-Eyez Destiny Radio with Collette Portis and our special guest today, Miss Faye Hill, and we'll be right back after this.
Closer to my dreams.
Download the TuneIn app to your phone and listen to Tap the Mic Radio in your car. TuneIn.com and Tap the Mic Radio. We're on.
TapTheMicRadio.com. Tap the Mic Radio Network. We're on.
Hey, this is DJ Colossus. Join me Friday night, 7 to 11 Eastern Standard Time for the Mix Show Federation, getting you ready for the weekend. Join me as we ride the waves of top music across the board, pumping out positive vibes to start your weekend ride. Only on TapTheMicRadio.com. We're on.
Coming up.
My birth mother, who passed away at 9, gave me that statement that I did hold on to.
And
what you think and where you think you're going is not where you're going. And it's not about what you think. It's really about that.
But you never choose to walk away.
Who's your goalie? It's an acronym for grafting objectives around longevity and entrepreneurship. Here's founder Collette Portis.
GOALIE makes sure that your business is so well-rounded that you can now continue to grow. The key aspect of GOALIE is that it devises a strategy and it helps you to determine what needs to be done every single day in your business so that you meet or exceed your goals. And as a result, the clients that we've used the GOALIE plan on has doubled their revenue, has tripled their revenue, has built successful, viable, growing teams that are helping them to grow their business. And it's been able to give the business owner or the founder of the organization some of their time back so that they can put that time into the vision of the business.
Order GOALIE by Collette Portis at Amazon.com or ColettePortis.com and let Collette Portis and Company, founder of the GOALIE movement, put you in scoring position with your future.
This is REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio with Miss Collette Portis. Welcome back to the show with Miss Faye Hill, who is a highly sought after social media strategist and trainer, who is giving us some amazing insight on her journey and how she began and how different her story is from a lot of journey in entrepreneurship as a hairstylist myself. And so I completely understand the moving from that and then growing into something completely different because that was what was given to you at the time. So taking that and then discovering your passion and your purpose and even what success is after redefining success for yourself after this. Ms. Faye, I love the fact that your mother had the foresight to see and to leave you a message that at 9 years old, you had no idea what it meant, but now it means, I can only imagine that it probably means the world to you. And in those days where, you know, those of us who serve, some days we get to the point where we don't want to serve because we're exhausted. And we've done and gone as far as we feel like is what causes you to pick up your mantle and keep moving forward in your service, in your business, in life, and things like that. Talk to us a little bit about, because one of my pet peeves is, let me say this before I ask the question. One of my pet peeves is the fact that oftentimes when we as parents are in business, we don't really have conversations with our children about purpose and the passion that we see in them. Therefore, we oftentimes fail at nurturing their passion and the gift that we see that our children have. So talk to us a little bit about now the importance of what your mom did for you when you were 9, and then what your mom did for you when she turned over the business to you, just keeping you in.
Wow. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, that's pretty powerful, because my birth mother, who passed away at 9, gave me that statement that I did hold on to all the way to today. It resonates in my spirit that, you know, stay as kind as you are and people will always love you. And as a child, you don't really understand what that means. As time goes on, sometimes you don't really feel like being so calm, that you want to make sure that that people are okay, or that, you know, and what you find out is give and it shall be given unto you.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I've always had that giving type of spirit. Now, then along comes my stepmother, who was the one that raised me, who had the beauty salon. And she kind of picked right up and said, you know, the same thing by saying, it's a business where you have to get along with people.
Yes.
And all through my teenage years, when I would be in the salon and helping her, and she would always just be so tired, just worn out, and she would just say, this business is so confining. I just see her saying that so many times to me. You know, you're really kind of at the mercy of your clients, of your customers.
Yeah.
If they want me here at 6 in the morning because they have to be at work at 8, then I'm going to be here at 6 in the morning. And so there you have two mothers, two different stages in my life. One saying, here you go, here are the words, hold on to this. And then the next one kind of picking up and saying, I'm going to make it easy for you to hold on to that. I'm going to give you a business to start you out where you're serving. And again, I truly mean that I would not have continued on that. If I was to go back and do it all over again, it was a stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I still needed to do to get to where I ended up getting to in Dallas and in all the other cities that I ended up being in was because of leaving that beauty salon. I never had to pay to move anywhere, so I lived in a lot of different cities and experienced a lot of things I would not have experienced if I hadn't have gone that route.
Yeah.
So what happened was when I went to Miami and came back to Dallas, I belonged to a mega church here in Dallas and went back to the same church that I'd been going to, and for some reason, I just, as far as how people were treated. So I went to the person over the facilities, the staff manager, and said, hey, you need to get some training for these people. It's awful. The church needs to represent God better than this. And he said, find some place and I'll send them. So I went to research and try to find some place for training, and there wasn't anything. And that was in 2002, right? Mm-hmm. So I couldn't find anything. Lots of stuff for corporate America, because the standard of excellence, that was, that's why they had continuing education and all of the things that were important for service, right? But the church didn't have anything. So I said, hey, I'll create my own. So that's what I did. That's kind of how it started. I went out and was able to fund getting a video developed and made and workbooks and put together a workshop for churches, trained them on customer service.
How the journey to entrepreneurship begins is we recognize that there's a problem, and we oftentimes nonchalantly, without even thinking about it, go to someone and say, hey, there's a problem that exists, and it falls right back into our laps, and it's like, okay, fix it. And then you're like, okay, well, let me see who's out there. And then you discover, well, there's nobody out there, but there's a need in the market. And so let me just do something. And in that purpose and all of that, I think it's really actually phenomenal how it kind of, you just oftentimes just kind of end up falling into it. And so we're speaking with the president and CEO of Faye Hill and Associates on REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio with Collette Portis. We've got Miss Faye Hill on with us today, and she's giving us some amazing information. Miss Faye, what I would like to know is, throughout your journey, what do you know for absolute sure? What has your journey and this journey of discovery, what has it taught you that you know for absolute sure?
What I know for sure is that what you think and where you think you're going is not where you're going. And it's not about what you think. It's really about that journey, that purpose, that picture that God's already painted. So we think we're starting out going in a certain direction, and that we're going a certain, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to be, this is what, my vision is for my life. But what I know for sure is that it's constant change through the changes that have taken place in my life, that it is about discovering. And I think I said earlier that discovering what your passion is really key and really important, but the best way to succeed is to not only know your purpose, know your calling, discover your passion, but to wrap all of that together and put it towards you. and you're stepping into the picture, and you're stepping into the journey, and you're going from glory to glory, really.
Yes.
We're going from one place to the next place to the next place. And we're not wrapping that all together to give back that service in some capacity where we can say, these are the things that I've done, and this is what I feel real good about on what I've done for here's an example. I came up with the church training, did the church training, did a lot of the larger churches in Dallas. I've trained some capacity back when I started that business. And what makes me feel so good today, you know how Chick-fil-A, when you pull up and they say, how may I serve you?
Yes.
Okay, 2002, they weren't saying that. But I was training every single church when they answered the phone to say, thank you for calling XYZ Church. There are major churches in this city that still use that training that I gave them all those years ago to have the mentality of serving. People want to feel like they matter.
Yes.
And if we can't, it doesn't matter what we're doing, it doesn't matter what our business is or what we're trying to accomplish, if we can't make people feel like they matter, then we need to just take a step back and relook at what is it.
To see my work through someone else, meaning I served them, therefore they served someone else, and the ability to witness them serving someone else is my greatest accomplishment. Ms. Faye, what would you say at this stage in life is your greatest accomplishment?
Very, very similar. I would say that looking back and seeing some things and train those things to other people or to organizations or to churches or to funeral homes or to whoever, that they grasped that concept. And the accomplishment is that your passion has been spread, it'll go on to somebody else. And where people might not have been feeling so great about coming to your establishment or your church or whatever, all of a sudden they're feeling a little bit better about it.
I like it. You are listening to Real-Eyez Destiny Radio with Collette Portis, and we have a highly